Much has been said about the nature of moral claims, specifically whether such claims can be objectively true, that is, true independently of individuals' attitudes or beliefs. Many people answer no to this. Some of these people are moral nihilists, people who believe there are no moral truths at all. But others think this is throwing too much out, and that what we should say is rather that there are moral truths, but that they're subjective. Relativists and subjectivists take this position. On both views, as they're typically understood, moral truths are subjective in the sense that while there are true moral statements, they are relative to or determined by the beliefs or attitudes of particular individuals or groups of individuals. On these views, a statement like infanticide is wrong means something like infanticide is wrong relative to the moral code of this or that society, or I, the speaker, disapprove of infanticide. In this way, many people believe they can avoid commitment to objective moral truths without becoming nihilists. But, as philosophers like Paul Boghossian have argued, these views seem to be open to the objection that the claims that they generate are not moral claims at all. If I say infanticide is wrong, I'm making a moral statement, a normative statement. That is, I'm claiming that one ought not to kill infants. Whereas if I say infanticide is wrong relative to this or that culture, or I disapprove of infanticide, these don't look like normative statements, but merely descriptive statements about societies or my attitudes. And this is why even someone who believes that infanticide is permissible can fully agree with the statement that, for example, relative to this or that moral code, it is impermissible. Because again, that's just describing what follows from a certain moral code. It is not a moral claim. So I think neither relativism nor subjectivism, at least as I understand them, offers a genuine alternative to moral nihilism. So does this mean that we should be moral nihilists? I think not. Consider a statement like torturing children for fun is wrong. Now, one way we can understand statements of this kind is in terms of reasons. So if I say it's objectively wrong to torture children for fun, roughly what I'm saying on this view is that there's a reason, or you might say a decisive reason, not to torture children for fun, irrespective of one's desires or preferences. So it's a claim about these reasons. Now, this seems strange to many people. If someone doesn't care about something, let's say torturing children, why should they care? So the thought here is a general one. If someone is fully informed about X, they either care about X or they don't. And there's nothing really beyond that. In other words, we can't say someone is irrational for not caring about X or that they should care about X if they simply don't. But this seems false. Consider first a strange but conceivable case. Imagine someone who cares about what happens to them, but never cares about future experiences, things that will happen to them. They always care about pain when it's now, but not about pain that they'll experience at future times. Thus, such a person, when deciding whether to avoid doing something now that will obviously cause them to be in severe pain tomorrow, would have no present desire to do so. And thus, on the sort of view we're considering, would, it seems, have no reason whatever to avoid causing themselves to be in severe pain tomorrow, even though they're going to absolutely hate the pain tomorrow. And this is because to say that such a person would have a reason now in the absence of a desire, a present desire, would be to appeal to an objective reason, a reason that is independent of the individual's attitude. But this indifference to future experiences does seem irrational. That is, there is reason, it certainly seems, to care about one's future experiences, even if one does not care about them. In short, one should care. The mere fact that some pain is in the future, after all, does not make it any less painful. But again, if the view is basically you either care about something or you don't, we'd have to say that this person's indifference is not in any way unreasonable or subject to rational criticism. And I find this just hard to believe. So perhaps one can have reasons to care about something that one does not care about. And if there can be objective reasons of this sort, moral reasons can perhaps be like this also. So return to the claim about child torture. A likes to torture children and does not care about causing children to suffer. To say that torturing children is objectively wrong is to say that there are objective reasons against doing it. A might not care about the suffering they're causing, but should care. Well, why? Well, I think the reason here is not unlike the reason to care about one's future experiences. The mere fact that a painful experience will be in one's future does not make it any less important. Similarly, the mere fact that a painful experience is not one's own does not make it, I would argue, any less important. Now, what A might say is this: yes, but it's my pain, so it is more important. But then the response is, what's so special about your pain? A might say, it's mine, so it counts for more. But suppose someone were to say this: my $5 is worth more than your $5 because it's mine. Well, that's just false. And why would it be different for the worth of similar conscious states? A might eventually say, well, I care about my pain, and I don't care about others' pain. And while this may be true, arguably this is irrational in much the same way that future indifference is irrational. In both examples, one appears to be failing to see that something is worth caring about. So again, the claim is that reasons of this kind and truths about these reasons, both moral and self-interested ones, can be objective, that they don't depend on our attitudes. But still, you might wonder, why should I care about these reasons? After all, I don't have to care about them, in the sense that it's possible to choose not to act in accordance with these reasons. But I think what that question really amounts to is, why should I do what I have acknowledged I have reasons to do? Or, in other words, why should I do what I should do? Of course, how much practical significance this sort of dispute about the nature or status of moral claims has is another matter. That is, to what extent such beliefs determine how individuals actually live their lives, morally speaking. But I do think it's worth taking some time to think about and discuss metaethical questions of this sort. Questions, as Peter Singer says, not within ethics, but about ethics.